Hello, good seeing you.
Nice to see you.
No talking points, right?
Trying to shove as much stuff into my brain.
I hear you. Not to do this.
yeah.
Hi, how are you today?
I like swiveling. It's talent, capital, and opportunity.
I'm here with Deborah Yedlin. She is the CEO and President of the Calgary Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me today.
So let me ask the question that many people are asking me. What is your job exactly? What are you supposed to do?
What we're supposed to do is make Calgary the best place to come and grow and scale a business and stay here and continue to grow and diversify the Calgary economy for the benefit of everybody.
One thing I like about what you've been doing, specifically you and the role, is how you've taken complex topics, complex situations, hurdles that business owners have been going through, and make it simple for business owners to understand. Given everything that's going on, inflation, change of government, all the different policies, the red tape, what do you see things as the biggest hurdles for business owners today?
Right now, there are a number of things that businesses are facing. Rising interest rates, continued supply chain issues, the labor challenges, red tape, depending on what kind of business you're in. It morphs given what's going on. But honestly, when we see higher interest rates, supply chain issues, and the fact that if you talk to anybody, the issue of labor comes up over and over again.
Being an advocate in the business community is something that I think is very important now more than ever. And what do you think are some of the tips you would give business owners to be more of an advocate in the business community?
Well, they can join the chamber.
Yeah.
That's one thing. I mean, because we do have a policy team that looks at the mandate letters of the ministers and understands where those mandate letters are focused, where the ministers are going to be paying attention, and what we can do to help them advance their needs. And so that's one of the things that we do on behalf of our members. And if you want to understand where your opportunities are, where your challenges might be, having somebody talking about those on your behalf with all levels of government is actually a really good place to start, because we need to look and see what the priorities are of the government, and that's how we understand what that is. Mandate letters given by the Premier to the ministers.
A membership to the Chamber also gives you that leverage as well. Not only can you spend time focusing on your business, but you know that you've got someone in your corner along the way.
Absolutely, and because we have such a wide range of members, from large companies to small companies, all sorts of businesses, we call ourselves the cloak of invisibility. We can speak on behalf of businesses, but nobody can point a finger at the business and say, you said this.
Yeah.
It's about the business community as a whole, and we listen to our members, we consult with our members to understand what the issues are that are important to them.
So if I look at economic pressures that are coming on, there are a lot that are out there, but what are maybe one or two, and you've already mentioned interest rates.
Yep.
Of course, that's on the top of mind of many. Beyond interest rates, what are one or two that you see coming at your way?
The talent piece is something that that has not moderated at all. And when you talk to businesses, they want to find the right talent, depending on whether they're in retail, hospitality, at the energy company, in a tech company. Everybody's competing for that last unit of labor. So for us, affordability is something that's also very important, because if we can't maintain that affordability, how are we going to attract talent? Very, very important.
Can I just jump and ask?
Sure.
When you say affordability?
Housing affordability.
Housing
Yeah, I mean,
affordability.
when you look at what happened in Calgary last year, our rental rates for apartments went up the largest percentage relative to other cities across the country. That's a concern. So we want to make sure that we can still attract people to the city and have them feel like we have a competitive standard of living.
And that's where I think maybe some government support could come in. But beyond just that, what else do you see as government needs to get involved to help business owners?
Well, obviously we look at the red tape piece, but I think when you look at the talent question, we also need to see government more focused on what do you do to alleviate that? How do we train people? How do we accredit people? How do we upskill, reskill, so that they can actually work in the changing economy? Mm-hmm. And we also need to make sure that government continues to address issues of interprovincial trade barriers, so that we can actually have a better flow of goods and services in and out of Alberta, because we really can increase our economic opportunities if we have better access to other markets.
Are you finding more people are moving to Alberta, specifically Calgary, from other provinces or from out of the country?
Both.
And which is the biggest need for change when it comes to bringing in that talent, meaning from government support, or even the business owners can help in this situation?
The governments need to work with post-secondary institutions and other organizations to help upskill, reskill, and credential people who are coming to the province. And unfortunately, we don't have uniform credentials across the country.
Yeah.
And so we have to work on that as well. So there needs to be some level of cooperation amongst the provinces to make sure that you can accredit people and they can work. It doesn't matter where they went to school or where they had their training, they can still come here, or we have people that can work somewhere else. It's something that we've been talking about for a long time. And when you talk about productivity, if we don't deal with this issue, broadly speaking, it's not just an Alberta issue. We want to increase our economic productivity. That means taking away the barriers across the country from an accreditation standpoint, from how you certify people to work in their professions so that they can have that fluidity and meet the needs of a labor situation wherever it is. Right now, it's harder to do that. That means your productivity is compromised. We have to figure out how to change that.
I've talked to many and they say it's interesting how our Constitution allows us to go from province to province, no problem, but our skill set doesn't get transferred over as well.
It doesn't. And I think, it's everything from the accreditation bodies that are provincially run, the requirements to get into different medical schools, different nursing schools. There's no uniformity. And we need to figure out how to change that, because otherwise we don't get everybody in sort of streamed where they could be.
Where do you think the biggest change can happen there, from the federal government or from the provincial government putting pressure on the federal government? It's
provincially regulated. So it's the provinces and the premiers getting together to say, okay, here's what we're going to do. And there was a Canadian Free Trade Agreement agreed to 6 years ago. We still haven't made a lot of progress on decreasing those barriers, so let's figure out how to actually accelerate it.
Great. And so when you look at the three things that you want to see happen to attract more business to Calgary and to support local businesses here, what would they be?
Well, we want to see more talent. We want to make sure that the affordability is addressed. We also want to make sure that, safety is something else that we've heard a lot about. We need transportation infrastructure to support people coming to the city as well. We want to be a place where you can, it's talent, capital, and opportunity. It's a place to be, it's a place to live, it's a place to be challenged, and there's diversification. We talk a lot about what's possible from a diversification standpoint. We talk a lot about how we need to be competitive with the Inflation Reduction Act, because it's not just about being competitive across the country. This is about being competitive with other jurisdictions.
Yeah.
And so when we look at the Inflation Reduction Act in particular, we know that with that comes opportunities for economic diversification, which brings a different talent pool to the city and continues to diversify, not just from an economic standpoint, but in terms of who's here, age ranges, disciplines, and what they bring to the table. And the richer we are from a diversification standpoint, the better it is for the economy from a big business perspective to a small business perspective, because it's sustainable and it's more resilient to the changes from an economic standpoint.
I find a lot of my peers who get the opportunity to interview you ask a lot of questions about the view of what chamber and what businesses could go through, but very few get the chance to ask questions about you and yourself. So I've got three for you.
Uh-oh.
You ready?
Okay,
here's a tough one. Favorite bake shop?
I am a Crave cupcake addict.
Are you?
Oh yeah. Some people like the icing, some people like the cupcake. I like it all.
And what favorite cupcake?
Oh, actually Cravelicious with the blue icing.
So my daughter likes red velvet. Takes off the icing though.
Oh yeah, so I have a friend who will actually take the icing and eat my cupcake. But they also have this thing called the Twitter Crave, and I'm also a cyclist. And if you do a 75K loop and hit all the different Crave locations in the city, you get a water bottle, or you get 2 water bottles and a cupcake.
But you have to bike ride, you can't drive, right?
No, you have to bike ride. And there's a route on Strava that you can download.
Okay, so I'm out of that race for sure. Okay, local businesses that you think everyone should check out?
Local Laundry, one of our chamber members, but also someone who really believes in providing a product that is interesting, attractive, it's sustainable, and also a business that is very committed to giving back to the community.
Yeah, and he's been on our show a couple of times as well.
How you source and the people that you work with is really how you define your values. It's one thing to talk the talk and say we support local, we support responsible sourcing and ethical manufacturing. It's another thing to vote with your wallet and actually put the budget where your heart is.
Yeah.
And so find ways to work with small businesses, local partners, people that go the extra mile to manufacture here.
Yeah.
Put your money where your values are.
Best way to connect with fellow business owners in the city?
Stampede.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, we have a lot of networking events that we do, and then that's a great way for people to connect on an ongoing basis, whether it's our business after hours, whether it's the events that we have where we host politicians, our roundtables, and other opportunities that we hold to sort of raise issues that are important to the business community. That's what we do all year round, and then we just look for people to join us at things like our golf tournament.
Yep.
We're also fielding a team to raise money for Wellspring in September. It's a hospice helping cancer patients. come ride with us. 110K on the 1A.
Deborah, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching the Karmali Exchange. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. You can also follow me on social media at Faisal Karmali, where we can continue the business conversation.